Hi, this video about schoolboy who was bullied and whom no one helped, so he had to find a solution by his own, and this is what it led to.
My name is Ethan, a normal name, the kind people don't remember right away. Jason went to the same school as me. On paper, we were the same age. In reality, he was always bigger, taller, louder, more confident. He wasn't a leader in the heroic sense. He was the kind of guy people allowed things from. Guys like that don't prove strength. They test how much they can get away with. Around him, there was always Kyle and a couple of others. Not friends, a crew. Laugh at the right time, back him up when needed, disappear when things get serious. Mark was Jason's father. Calm, polite, never raised his voice. He didn't threaten anyone directly. He just showed up, and suddenly the security guard paid more attention. The vice principal was busy. Teachers looked the other way. Back then, I didn't understand that order at school wasn't about rules. It was about a shared agreement not to interfere. Every morning, Jason sat in the same seat on the bus, legs stretched into the aisle. When I walked past, he'd hook my knee, sometimes kick me, sometimes just watch me fall. Short laughter, comfortable silence. The driver kept looking forward. At school, it was the same. Hits where there were no cameras, words without witnesses, humiliation that could always be called just a joke. People knew, they just chose not to know. I was convenient. People don't protect convenient kids. They test how much they can take. One afternoon after school, we got jumped. 6-on-2. It wasn't a fight, it was a procedure. Fast. Efficient. At home, my dad stayed quiet for a long time. Then he said something simple. One punch doesn't fix anything. It just changes the rules. The next day, Jason kicked my knee again. And this time, I didn't fall. I hit him. No speech. No hero moment. Just the kind of punch you throw when you understand that staying quiet will only make things worse. We were pulled apart. There was the principal's office, paperwork. Nobody was seriously punished. The system did what it always does, pretended everything was fine. But something changed. People started thinking about me. Jason backed off. Not because he understood, because he understood that now someone might be watching. Nothing ended after that. It just got quieter, dirtier. Jason became calm, almost polite. That was worse than the punches, because now I wasn't an enemy. I was something being observed. Soon things started disappearing from my locker. Not everything, only specific items. Stuff that could be taken quickly and returned just as fast. Almost always after second period. I stopped getting angry out loud. I started watching. Kyle was always nearby. He never touched my locker, never took anything. He just stood there, like he was killing time, watching when the hallway emptied out. At first I thought he was the thief. That was my first mistake. One day I came back early on purpose. Nothing was missing. The next day my jacket was gone. That's when I realized the guy standing in the open isn't the one doing the dirty work. He's there to make sure no one decides to step in. Around the same time, I started noticing Mark. He didn't come every day, only on certain ones. Always parked at the far end of the lot, under a flickering light that looked like it couldn't decide whether it still worked. He didn't get out right away. He sat in the car, smoked, talked on the phone, staring past the school like the kids inside were a background noise. 5 minutes, sometimes 7. Then he'd leave, and almost every time, Jason would disappear from class shortly after. I thought Jason was just skipping school. That was my second mistake. One day I saw the exchange. Nothing dramatic. Just a brief brush on the stairs. Like they didn't know each other. For a second, Jason's backpack got heavier. Then he walked off like it was any other day. I understood something important then. If you don't know where to look, you won't see anything at all. From that moment on, I stopped watching faces. I started watching patterns. Who showed up before something went missing? Who disappeared after? Who left class? Who came back too calm? After school one day, Jason didn't leave with his usual group. He was with an older guy named Derek, not from our school. Clean clothes, no student energy. They didn't wait for the bus. They let it pull away, crossed the street, and got into another car. That's when it clicked. School wasn't where things happened. It was where things started. The real business happened after. Mark always parked in the same spot. That evening he went inside, just for a minute, and I was heading out at the same time. The car door was left barely open, just enough not to slam if he came back quickly. I walked past and saw a bag on the back seat, worn, heavy, no logos. The zipper was half open. Inside were neatly stacked plastic-wrapped packages. Several identical old phones turned off and envelopes arranged in a tight stack. The smell was sharp and wrong, not something that belonged near a school. I didn't take anything. I closed the door and walked away, because I understood. Once you start rushing, you lose. After that, I stopped watching the school. I watched everything around it. Mark didn't always drive home. Sometimes he went toward the industrial side of town. Sometimes he took a longer route, like he was checking his mirrors. I didn't follow every time. I memorized the pattern. Fridays, no rain. Only when he stopped by the school himself. One day he turned past the warehouses, by an old tire shop, into the part of town that stopped pretending to be clean. I didn't follow that day. A few days later I ended up there, by accident. Wrong bus, early stop, walking. Old garages, metal doors, peeling paint, numbers scratched off, oil-stained puddles with rainbow film on top. The air smelled like gasoline, mold, and old mistakes. This was a place where things weren't hidden. They were stored, because no one asked questions here. I waited nearby, not for Mark, for the car. It showed up, the same one. A few minutes later, another car pulled in. No greetings, no small talk. After a while, Jason came out with a backpack. He held the straps tight, like something inside could shift if he wasn't careful. That's when everything finally lined up. I didn't go in that day, or the next. I waited for a moment when everything looked normal. It came on its own. One evening, one of the garage doors was left slightly open. No guard in sight. The cars were gone. I went in. Not like a thief, but like someone who ended up in the wrong place at the wrong time. Inside, there was nothing cinematic. Boxes, crates, rags, dirt on the floor. But there was order, repeating order. Things that were taken often were closer to the entrance. Things meant to stay were deeper inside. I didn't steal anything. I didn't look for trophies. I changed one thing. I moved items just enough to break the habit, enough so that someone acting on autopilot would grab the wrong thing. I left and shut the door. Outside, my hands were shaking. Not from fear, but from knowing that if someone came back right then, there would be no pretending nothing happened. No one came back. The next morning, Jason came to school earlier than usual, with a backpack. Ordinary, worn. I knew it wasn't the one he meant to take. He grabbed it automatically without checking, like always. He sat down and placed it too carefully, the way people do when they're afraid of forgetting something. During third period, he reached inside. His hand stopped. First disbelief, then understanding. He pulled out the wrong item. Quietly. No scene, but enough for someone nearby to see. The classroom went silent. Not school silent. Wrong silent. The teacher came over because silence like that doesn't happen for no reason. When Mark arrived, the conversation wasn't about grades or kids being kids. Words like garage and car came up too early. too precisely. Mark looked at me and understood. He understood it wasn't an accident, that his son didn't just mess up, that someone knew their routine, knew their system, and deliberately broke it. Jason was taken away first. Mark followed later. No shouting, no cameras, no speeches. The garage was sealed, the car was towed. Everything ended as quietly as it had begun. I went back to school. The scariest part wasn't that nobody knew it was me. The scariest part was that after that, nobody tried to see if they could treat me the same way. Push me, steal from me, corner me, wait for me to stay quiet. Because fights leave bruises, but consequences stay. Someone once said, evil wins when good people choose not to act. Don't touch the quiet one.
If you like this video, support the channel. Subscribe, leave a like, and share your thoughts in the comments. And don't stay indifferent.